Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mr. Georgiou, for this introduction. I will very briefly present you who we are, who ADF International is, before we start reflecting on the topic of this event, namely marriage and the upcoming referendum. ADF International is an alliance-building legal organization that advocates for the right of people to freely live out their faith in society, with a particular focus on freedom of thought, conscience and religion. We also work in the international institutions and courts to safeguard marriage and the family as a basis of a free and healthy society, and we also work to preserve the sanctity of human life. ADF International holds special consultative status at the United Nations and accreditations at the European Parliament, the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and regularly acts as a third party in significant cases before the European Court of Human Rights. With offices in Vienna, Brussels, Geneva, Strasbourg, New York, Washington, Mexico, and a desk in India, ADF International is at the forefront of the international political, legislative and juridical debates on religious freedom, freedom of conscience, marriage, the family and the protection of human life. Alongside with my colleague Dr. Adina Portaro here to my right, who works alongside our team in Brussels but who is from Romania, she's a Romanian citizen, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you who came, honorable members of parliament, representatives of the church, representatives of academia. I would also like to thank our co-organizer, the Coalition for the Family, and especially Mr. Georgiou, for creating the opportunity to host this important event together. The topic, marriage, or rather the question what marriage is or should be, is of highest importance since it is about the future of our society. But before we start reflecting on the topic itself, before we start listening to a wide range of speakers, please take with me a very short moment to watch a short video on the work of ADF International.
Or it's not an appropriate argument to support.
With regards to religious freedom, we see a huge push by rather radical lobby groups.
Christian beliefs are seen as a taboo. It's not an appropriate justification for a policy, or it's not an appropriate argument to support a position that you might hold.
The legal landscape 10 years ago was a lonely, lonely place. There wasn't a lot of us out there fighting for the ground.
There's a huge political debate about issues such as religious freedom, marriage and family, and life questions. We have a huge political push to the liberal edges, really, of all these topics.
At the European Union level, they were passing, it seemed, every 6 months declarations promoting abortion.
For whatever reason, we spent decades not getting engaged, not really noticing what was going on. ADF International operates in the international institutions that exist around the world, that is the United Nations, the European Court of Human Rights, the European Union. We quickly got to work on a number of legal cases and legal matters and saw a great deal of success once we engaged.
The way we've been able to marshal support and alliances at every level, we've had so many cases that have impacted the culture.
ADF International is present at the United Nations to serve and to assist member states that are working tirelessly for the protection of human life and the fundamental value of the family. We are not at the UN to impose an agenda of our own. Instead, we are there to work alongside member states to protect and to promote these fundamental values that the UN was created to do.
We want to be able to inform people, we want to be able to resource people, to be able to give people the arguments, the tools that they need to respond to these challenges, that say there is a consensus.
As a former UN diplomat, I can say that it's important to have strong and healthy civil society collaborating with the different nations of the world. That's one of the purposes of ADF International in Geneva and in New York.
Seeing where we were 10 years ago to where we are now, it's amazing to imagine the possibilities of where we'll be in 10 years.
We see that citizens wake up more and more. We have some governments that wake up more and more. Yes, it's a minority, of course, but if you look in history, it was never a majority who changed things. It was always coming out of a minority, out of a creative minority, of course, and a well-trained minority. But it's a minority that will set the trend.